Hi, I'm Brian,
And I'm Michaela, and this is Drink the Movies.
a podcast where each week we try to recreate a classic movie drink and discuss the movie that inspired it.
Thanks for joining us. Now let's drink the movies.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 153 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, this week we're going to make fetch happen.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's never gonna happen.
Well, spoiler for Mean Girls 2024 because fetch does in fact happen in this newest iteration of the film, and that's what we're talking
It's
about
true.
today. The Mean Girls, the musical that just released here this past week. So, Mean Girls, it's 20th anniversary basically of the Mean Girls movie, right? Came out in 2004, written by Tina Fey. They're widely beloved. I don't even. It kind of has like all the makings of a cult classic, but it's like beyond that. It's an everywhere classic. Everyone, even if you don't know the movie, you know the lines, right? You can't wear pink on Wednesdays. You can't sit with us, or you have to wear pink on Wednesdays. We wear pink on Wednesdays. What am I even saying? I don't even know. But yeah, it has the long lineage of this being
Yes.
this movie kind of thing in the ether of everyone.
Yeah. It was a classic phenomenon that happened like instantly. And I feel like people were mean girls about if you didn't watch Mean Girls. And I have a
Oh,
whole story about that because I did not get on the Mean Girls bus when it came out in
you
20.
didn't get hit by the Mean Girls bus.
I didn't
Oh,
get hit by the Mean I didn't get hit by the Mean Girls bus when it came out in 2004. Gosh, it was probably, I don't know, 2015, 2017, maybe when I watched it finally.
okay, okay.
And we're going to talk all about that, but I feel like you're absolutely right. It was a thing that kind of happened around you. It was kind of like if you were the only person who lived under a rock when Friends was a series that was
Mm.
actively putting out new episodes, because people would be shocked that you didn't know some of these lines or you didn't know where they came from. Um, I don't think fetch actually became a thing, though.
I,
I
I don't
mean,
think I don't think
I
I don't
don't
think
think it
fetch
did.
actually became a thing, but wearing pink on Wednesdays definitely did, and we are wearing pink
Yes.
this week in our cocktail section. So let's do this, Michaela. This week we're talking about Mean Girls 2024. We're going to be talking about the original Mean Girls, the 2004 version over on our Patreon, patreon.com/drink the movies. Go check that out if you want our takes on the original, the classic. This week we're talking about the musical, and this week we're making up the Secret Rose. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to whip up that cocktail.
I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
So Brian, I don't think, did you
Yes.
find these cocktails or did I find
I
these cocktails? I can't remember who started
I
it.
I found them
You
because
found
there's
them.
like a whole list of pink
There's
cocktails.
a whole list of
I
pink
think it actually
cocktails.
I think it actually spurned from Barbie, but that's okay. That's okay. Because yeah, we
Yes.
were doing Mean Girls this week, and I was like, what are we going to do for Girls cocktail? It has to be definitely something pink for sure. So I typed into my favorite web browser of choice. I said pink cocktails, and there was like a whole list of these, and I sent them to Michaela, knowing her affinity for pink, and we settled on the Secret Rose from
We did.
Cosmopolitan magazine because it sounded delicious and it looked even more delicious.
It did. I mean, and we've done a couple of things with egg whites recently. I've really been into gosh, I think it was episode 17, maybe, where we covered the whiskey sour, and I was making some of those a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
Really in love with the whole egg white mixing in um, of a drink, making it like super creamy. So this was right up our alley. And I love it
Mhm.
because it's called the Secret Rose because there are a lot of secrets. There's a lot of secrets in Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Um, got a lot of secret telling,
We should
a lot
we should
of
have called it the Burn Book cocktail. It's not quite as
yeah.
not quite as vicious as that is though. This cocktail is, and
No,
this cocktail is perfect actually. It'd be really good for like your Valentine's Day cocktail if you want to make one of these up for that. That would be really good because it's not too hard to put together. The ingredients are pretty simple and inexpensive, so that would be nice and save you some bucks there. And going to be just a really good one, and it paired really well with the film. I thought, let's go ahead and make one of these up, Michaela. So what you're going to do is you're going to put in a half ounce of simple syrup into your shaker tin. If you're not familiar, that is just equal parts sugar and water. Just heat up that water until the sugar dissolves. And then you have your simple syrup, half ounce of that, and put in about 4 raspberries. And you're going to want to go ahead and muddle those. That's going to give you this nice pink color. It's going to give you some essence of that raspberry, going to make it extra delicious. Go ahead and muddle that with the simple syrup. And then you're going to add to that a half ounce of lemon juice, a half ounce of peach liqueur, and 1 1/4 ounces of vodka, along with an egg white. Go ahead and shake that for about 30 seconds. It's called a dry shake. Shake that up. It's going to get nice and frothy. Open it up, add some ice, and shake it again until it is ice cold. Then go ahead and strain that into a coupe glass, martini glass. Probably going to be the best bet. You could use like a rocks glass maybe if you wanted to. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be have this nice pink color from those muddled raspberries. It's going to have this nice creamy foam layer on top. That's what the egg whites bring into the party. And then go ahead and you can garnish that with some rose petals. You can garnish it with some raspberries. That's what I did for mine. You'll see the pictures on our website. Drink and enjoy. It's nice. It's light. It's not a heavy drink. Got that vodka, a little bit of hint from that peach, a little bit of hint from the raspberries. This was nice, Michaela.
Yeah, this was really lovely. I want to caution our folks that if you've never done a dry shake before or shaken things with egg whites, you're going to want to make sure that that top on that shaker is on real secure, because I don't know if this happens to just me, but I almost lose the top every single time, and it creates a giant mess if that happens. So just make sure it's really secure when you shake it. We do the dry shake because it adds just an extra like oomph of creaminess. The egg white is going to do that anyway. Some people have written in when we've done like a whiskey sour and they don't do the dry shake. They just forget. They add all the ice in it and go ahead and shake it. It's going to be fine if you do that. But the dry shake, I just think gives it an extra silkiness that you wouldn't have otherwise. And this was beautiful. I mean, I know we do a lot of pink drinks here because they're my favorite color, but this was delicious. I was a little worried that it was going to be too peachy, but the raspberries really balanced that out, because if, real raspberries are kind of have that tartness. If you don't have muddled raspberries, I bet you could use like a raspberry vodka, but then it might be a little sweet depending on how sweet that vodka is, right? There's a bunch of different vodkas out there that will taste delicious, but if you add a bunch of simple syrup to it, I don't know how you'd feel about that. But this was amazing. And I thought that this was so beautiful. And it looked to me like a Mean Girl because it had this beautiful, like rose, dark pink at the bottom. The froth is a little pink. And so it was just like a girl in a top and a skirt with like the raspberry garnish on top. I don't know. I definitely thought this is like, if you could wear a pink outfit, this is how it would look. So I loved it. And I think it tastes really good. If you're, yeah.
Yeah, you could say it is plastics in a cup, except that doesn't sound very appetizing, I don't think. So yeah, give one of these a try. It is really good. It's really pretty. Make one of these up, take a look at our pictures, and check out the website for the written instructions there. Give that a try. Let us know what you think. But now, Michaela, what we need to do is we need to go back to our high school days to think about those, to sing some songs, to do some dances, and see if we can make friends with the cool kids in class. So let's do that. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to chat about this week's film, Mean Girls 2024. Be right back.
May I have everyone's attention, please? We have a new student.
What's up, Cady?
Are you trying to make the rest of us feel dumb?
I'm not trying to. It's just happening.
Spoiler warning for Mean Girls. If you've not seen the original or this 2024 version, buckle up because we're going to talk about all the things. We're going to spoil it. And I feel like this is sort of the most pointless spoiler ever because I feel like everybody's seen the original. And it doesn't change much, but we're going to talk about some things that are a little bit different in the 2024 version. So if you've not seen this, go ahead, do yourself a favor, go make yourself a secret rose. It's really tasty. Go watch the show. You have some time in the theater to do it. Come back when you've done all those things and we can chat about it. And on Wednesdays, we wear pink.
That's right. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. You can wear sweatpants like one time or something during the week. On Fridays, maybe.
Fridays
for sure.
with jeans.
But this, With jeans? I don't know. This was released on January the 12th, 2024. It was directed by Samantha Jane and Arturo Perez Jr. This one is written again by Tina Fey, who's one of the co-writers of the original there. And this one stars Andrew Rice as our new kid in class, Cady. Auli Carvalho and Jaquel Spivey are playing Janice and Damien, the real friends to Cady in the end, and the would-be narrators of our story. Christopher Briney plays the love interest, Aaron Samuels. And have to say, all of the teenage girls in the audience made an audible gasp when he was revealed. On a side note, I don't know. Kudos to you, Aaron Samuels. That's good. And who are those girls over there, Michaela? They are the Plastics. Ivantika plays Karen, BB Woods plays Gretchen, and Renee Rapp plays Regina George, and she is a massive deal. Also, on a side note, from Huntersville, North Carolina, which is about 10 minutes from here. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta say, when this film opens up and
Yeah, Auli Carvalho. Yeah.
Auli Carvalho, yeah, her voice is insane.
Pretty
So
good.
I hadn't
Pretty good.
seen, full disclosure, I had not seen the musical that came out about this. Jaquel Spivey, oh my goodness, both of them kind of open up and they're like, they set it up for us, and their voices are rich and broad and like they're very Broadway without being Broadway. Like they're not so Broadway that they're off-putting on the screen, on the big screen, which I really love. I feel that modern musicals really have to kind of decide what kind of musical they're going to be very early on with like the first number. And a great example of that is like La La Land versus like Les Miserables.
Okay.
They're both very different stylistic in how they produce their music and show the music that they sing on screen. And so I was really concerned that it was going to be a style I didn't love or didn't make sense to me. They sounded amazing. They looked like they were really singing. So they were either lip syncing really beautifully or they were singing really beautifully. Either way, it was awesome. And I really think that they set us up. I mean, I think I liked this Janice better than the original Janice for sure. And I don't know why, but maybe it was the voice. I don't know.
Yeah, her voice was great, and I like kind of the opening a little bit there. They're recording things, and a lot of this film is going to be based around kind of the social media world, right? It's 2024. The times have changed since 2004, so it's a much different way to kind of tell the story in the way that these rumors and things are spreading around the school. So much more modern and realistic in that sense, and that's what gets us started. And you talked about being based on the musical, Michaela, and that is in fact what this was. So the musical itself released in 2017, and Jeff Richmond and Nell Benjamin did the music for the musical, and they came back to rework the songs from the musical to kind of fit into this movie to adapt them better. There were a couple of new tracks in the film as well, changing things up because part of the challenge here is because you have Mean Girls from 2004, which is this highly quotable, highly beloved film, and you still want kind of that quippiness and that campiness to exist. But then you also have like this musical thing, which is also quippy and campy. And how can those two things coexist in a world? I think like the musical runtime's like 2.5 hours. This movie version's about an hour and 40-ish minutes, something like that. So how do you condense those things? And that's kind of one of the crossovers, and we'll talk a little bit about kind of our takeaways between the two as we get to the end. But yeah, that's kind of how the story opens, right? And then we're introduced to Cady, played by Anjuri Rice. She is in Africa. She gets an actual place in Africa to live this time, not like in the original movie. She's from Kenya, her and her mom. Miss Heron, played by Jenna Fisher. And I have to say, Jenna Fisher does look like she could really be Cady's mom, like in real life. Like they look like pretty much spitting images of one another. So good job. Always love to see Jenna Fisher back from The Office fame. They're in Kenya. Cady wants to go to real school and make some real friends, not hang out with the lions all day, I guess. And that's what they do. Miss Heron takes a job, and we are back to high school. Welcome back, Cady. Hi, times have
Welcome
changed,
back.
I think.
What I found really interesting is how they explain some of the changes, and like when they introduce you to the school, like there's still this idea of a lunchroom. There's still where everybody sits. The groups are
That's where
slightly
the
different.
social hierarchies are in your
Right.
lunchroom,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And like what I really love is that the teachers are back, and there's kind of this weird moment where they break the fourth wall. So Tina Fey's character is now, I guess, married to
to our principal there, Mr. Duvall,
Is
played by
yes.
Tim Meadows.
Yep,
They're
yep.
both back, and they do allude to the fact that they are married, or maybe just together. I guess maybe not necessarily married, because Miss Norbury is still Miss Norbury, and Mr. Duvall is still Mr. Duvall. So no name changes have taken place there, but they are together. And that's one of the things in the
Yeah.
original movie. It definitely alludes to the fact that there are some sparks that could be potentially flying, and maybe those sparks have been a little bit more fully realized, I guess, by
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah. Because the original Miss Norbury is like, in the first one, she's going through a divorce and all that. None of that seems to be happening here, because there's a moment where she's like, well, you're doing the dishes tonight, and or you're gonna take the dogs out or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird to me, because if you didn't know better, when you go back and look, it's like, oh, are they alluding to the fact that they were together? And there's a couple times where there are jokes made like, oh, and the second time ever in history this happens, and
Right. Yeah.
it's the same stuff. It's kind of neat. But I really liked some of the musical numbers were really interesting. I thought that I was comforted in a way that they didn't change some of the aesthetics of the school, and some of the things
Yeah.
that will always happen. There's always going to be a couple that's totally in love, making out in front of everybody, that kind of grosses everyone out. Everybody had that in high school. They had it in high school in 1955. They have it now. So I love that they kept some of that stuff in,
Right.
where, but they updated some things. So they're not saying certain some of the nomenclature that they used to say. They're talking about people in a different way. I also think that this version was a lot more body positive. I saw a lot more different looking individuals, and which is interesting, because the original was kind of hailed as, because it had students that were differently abled and stuff, and this is still the case here, but like just the body types of what was considered like the plastic hot is very different than what was considered the plastic hot in 2004.
In
And I really
2004.
kind of like that, where
in the days of Hollister, 2004
right.
was a wild time for sure
Where
to be
Abercrombie
alive.
and Fitch, where a
Everyone
small
out
was like
there.
a -2,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, for sure. I like the introduction here. I really like kind of it's not the opening song, but it's the song when Katie's coming into school. The song itself was okay, but I really liked the choreography to that. There's like an instance where like this kid like flies over top of Katie's head, and it had to have gone over the camera. Is really cool looking. I like the choreography to that. And then we go into school, and we're meeting kind of the different groups of people. Of course, we meet our friends there, the important ones of the story, Janice and Damien there, and they're kind of laying out the social structure to Cady, who's very much fish out of water here. She's back in school eating lunch in the bathroom stall there. I really like that. They go and get her out of there, and they say, okay, so these are the different groups of people, and those are like the really cool ones over there, right? You got Karen, you got Gretchen, and then you have the introduction of Renee Rapp playing Regina George as that awesome I Am Regina song that's all over the place now. So she comes in, getting down to business, as saying, I am the queen bee of this school, and you're going to come over here. Who are you, new kid? I don't know you. Why don't I know you?
right. And I really like how they kept, I don't know, they kept some of the kind of smarmy. I mean, Regina does that thing where she's asked about the bracelet. She's like, oh, that's so interesting. or where did you get that? That's so cool. It's so original. I don't know as a kid if you fall for that anymore, though. I don't know, because as an adult, you're like, you don't like my bracelet. You hate that bracelet. I don't know. But I really like how you don't know who Cady actually should be friends with, even at the outset. When, she meets Janice, and Janice is like, we're your friends, right? Like and this person, this Regina chick, is bad news. She's awful, and we should hate her like immediately. And for whatever reason, Cady buys into it. She's like, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the troubles with the musical and the shorter runtime is you don't have quite as much time to spend with the characters. So in the original film, Cady seems a little bit more kind of naive to this stuff, but we don't get quite as much of that here. So you're left a little bit wondering, why she's making the decision that she's making. But yeah, ultimately, decides to go off with Janice and Damien. They're basically, telling her how awful Regina is. But Cady thinks Regina's okay, right? They invited her to come sit with them for the rest of the week, right? So on Wednesdays we wear pink. That's the rule. Cady needs a pink shirt. I really like the pink sweater she gets from Damien. It's pretty awesome there that she ends up wearing on Wednesday. And yeah, they're gonna kind of go. And then she has, it's kind of this like split friend group, right? So she's got the plastics that she's in with now, but then she also has Janice and Damien, the alleged kind of real friends. And they want her, kind of play along this week, play along with the plastics, see what you can get into, because it seems like there's some history between Janice and Regina, and Janice would like to explore the potential of getting some revenge there on Regina. So Katie's kind of in the middle, right? Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do you want to be cool and popular here with the plastics? Do you want to hang out with Janice and Damien, who seem like they could potentially be like actual friends? Not like frenemies like the plastics seem to be. So yeah, that's kind of the path that we're taking. And we're going to follow Cady along this journey between these two friend groups. But what is going to throw a wrench in this plans? That's none other than Aaron, played by Christopher Briney. That's that heartthrob. This is in front of you in math class. You have to pretend to be dumb. That's not good. Cady, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really thought this was a missed opportunity. I mean, I guess it's part and parcel to the journey that a person has to take, but her idea that, hey, I'm not first of all, she's told specifically by the other two plastics, hey, Regina used to date Aaron. He is off limits. That's feminism right there. You're not going to date someone that your
Yep,
friend
sounds
dated,
right.
even though they dumped him and is making out with some other dude on the third floor of I don't know, behind the theater or auditorium or whatever. It's really strange to me that Cady is like, hey, I'm a genius. And instead of like showing off my math skills of how smart I am, I'm going to dumb it down because that'll give me an excuse to talk to Aaron. And it's interesting because she's asked to join the mathletics. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah,
And
the mathletics, the mathletes,
oh
or
gosh, and
or
that
something.
guy, that horrible guy, he's still in it, and he's even more cringe than he was. Oh, he's so gross, and he's got like the card still. Anyway,
Kevin, yeah, Kevin's awesome, played by Molly Alum. That's true. That's all true, right? She should be smart. She should be going into that. The plastics tell her not to go into this group. They're going to help. I think Regina even says, "You're so lucky you have us to help guide you through high school." I like that. I thought that the musical here does a really good job though of playing up that Cady is very much like a bumbling fool in front of Aaron. Like even like in the original movie, like it didn't seem like she had any trouble like matching like wits for wits, but she does definitely seem very much kind of like awestruck every time Aaron turns around, right? She can't get the words out right, all that stuff, and I think that the musical does a better job of that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the kind of this middle part where Katie's kind of playing both sides. She's getting in with the girls and the plastics, and she's reporting back. But she's also really tied and trying to get Aaron's attention. I think this plays out a little bit better for me in this one in some ways because it I don't know, the music where she's like, math is, what is it like? Math is love, like, I love Aaron and I'm dumb in math. Math is smart, or love is smart and math is dumb, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, yeah, okay. None of that makes sense. But Tina Fey's character, I really like her in this one because she immediately is like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, we all know that you're smarter than this. You shouldn't be dumbing yourself down to please some guy. This is really lame. And Cady tells her friends this at like back at Regina's house, which is still a mansion. She still has a cool mom. Her mom's a little even more like, I don't know.
She's a little bit more in with the girls
If you need to talk to me about anything, boy troubles, blackheads, or alcohol poisoning, I have been through it all.
And Amy Poehler's version was Mrs. George, played by Busy Phillips. This time around here, she seems a little bit more like one of the girls, a little bit less of like this, I don't know, like doofus character that Amy Poehler played. Right, Regina seemed more allowing, I guess, of the intrusion into the friend circle there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, again, kind of moving on with the times where, as a kid, it's a manipulation tactic, frankly. If it's like, look, if I get in with my parents and I treat them like my friend and they treat me like a friend, I'm going to get more stuff instead of just being mean to them and being like, leave me alone, go away.
And I still liked Regina still had like the main bedroom in the house, right?
Oh yeah, who does that?
I made my parents trade with me. So.
Okay, yeah, not in my house. In a mansion that it looks amazing, by the way. So what I really I like when the way they bring out the burn book and they do it right after Cady's talking about how uncool, the Tina Fey's teacher character is, and they're kind of looking in the mirror and they're all like, oh, I'm too fat, my bones look weird and my face and my skin is and Cady is like, oh yeah, I'm real ugly too, like just to fit in instead of just naturally being okay with who you are. And I really love that. I love that they kept that, because I think that people don't think that they're anything other than what they are. They have to be told that. It's like a person being, if they were born blind, they're told that they're born blind because they don't know the difference. Like I was born, short. And so I don't know what it's like to be tall. So being told that, hey, being tall is so much better, or being anything different is so much better. Like that is something that socially is a social construct. And all these girls all these plastics are looking at all their imperfections. And Cady's like, oh, I'm naturally not fitting in with them because I don't have anything negative to say. So I better make up something like, oh yeah, I'm real ugly. I really love that part.
Yeah, that's right. And that's going to be kind of Cady's gateway into really getting with plastics, right? She figures out that she's going to have to, talk about people behind their back, to be negative, to be more judgmental of people. And that's really the pathway to finding her place within the plastics. The other way you find your place within the plastics is you go to a sweet Halloween party. Looks like a bit of a rager. I never went to cool parties like that in high school, to be completely transparent with everyone there myself. But this one looked like quite the rager. I liked kind of the introduction to Halloween, and this was supposed to be the moment when Cady, professed her love to Aaron. That was supposed to happen at this party. She went. I love they kept like the same like costume styling for Cady.
Yeah.
She was like the dead bride with those like obnoxious like fake teeth things that she was wearing. I loved that, and everyone like gasps when she walks into the room, and she's there. The party is raging, and Regina says, "I'll put in a good word with Aaron for you. I hear you like him." That's great. Thanks, Regina. Thanks for your help. Oh, too bad. Regina's going to be making out with Aaron. That's going to rub Cady the wrong way, and that is going to set up the list of ways to get back at Regina.
Regina George is a scum-sucking life ruiner.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did like that they gave a better backstory, or a more filled out kind of backstory to what happened between Janice and Regina.
Yeah.
Look, I'm also kind of torn because Regina basically outed Janice as a lesbian in school. And that's really serious, actually. They make light of it because Janice is okay. And that's wonderful. I was glad for these fictional characters. But that's actually a really seriously horrible thing to do. So I don't blame Janice for absolutely hating Regina, because that's not something that you should ever tease somebody about or with, right? But I did like that they add more to the backstory. So, when it comes full circle, when Cady finally kind of has her big fight with Janice towards the end of the film, it's much more powerful to me in this scenario, because Cady now knows the entire backstory. In the first one, it's like, oh, Regina called Janice a lesbian, and then Janice, who, was like, I'm not a lesbian. Like, what's wrong with being a lesbian in the first place. Anyway, I didn't think that hit as well in the first film, but this
Yeah,
one,
the betrayal
oh
felt much more,
yeah,
viscerally
yeah, for
sound,
sure.
and this one, yeah, for sure. And that kind of happens after the Halloween party, right? She's back,
Hmm.
teary-eyed because Regina was making out with Aaron. Cady was supposed to be getting with Aaron, and then yeah, Janice kind of tells the story about why she hates Regina, and they get their plan in action, right? So what is their plan? They basically have to get Regina and Aaron to like break up. They gotta like do that. They've got to make Regina not look cool, and they have to basically turn Regina's friends against her, right? Karen and Gretchen. So same kind of thing that we got the first time around, and it kind of goes through like this little bit of a montage of ways they're trying to get it back at Regina. They turn the water sprinklers on her, which gives her like this like wet look with like the streaked mascara, and they're like, brought the wet look back. All we've managed to do is to make Regina even cooler than she was before. We're failing at this, but eventually they do get their one up on Regina, and their plan comes through to fruition.
Yeah, yeah. They she's got these swords where she's like, we're gonna check these things off. We're gonna take her down. Um, and what I find interesting is this moment of it's like the Breaking Bad scenario, right? Like we're all on Katie's side at the beginning. We're like, oh, the mean girls are so mean, the plastics are so mean.
Like Breaking Bad.
It really is, because by the end of this kind of montage of Cady doing these things and pretending like she's fine with Regina, just totally making out with Aaron and getting back together with him, and her making comments about his hair and being like, oh, tell him he looks so good with his hair back. You're on Katie's side, but by the end of that kind of montage where Cady starts giving Regina these Cultine bars to lose weight, when in fact they're like packed with calories in order to help you gain weight, and all of these things, Cady ends up looking like Regina, right? Her color is blue. It's like Heather's, it's like
That's
her
right.
color
Yeah.
is blue. She's wearing a lot of blue. She's not wearing a lot of pink, but she is got her hair different. She's trying to have all these conversations with Aaron. She's still dumbing things down for him so that she can talk to him. And it's funny because she doesn't even correct him when he's actively wrong. And he's wrong, and it's math, so there's not an opinion. Like he's like, it's -1, and she's like, nope, it's not -1. And then she's like, oh, you're so smart. Don't do that. Don't do that. Tell people they're wrong, especially when it's math. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, as a math person, it was driving me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it was. I can't confirm it was driving you crazy, for sure. But yeah, she has definitely taken on the identity of her former, I guess target is now she is, kind of weaseled her way into the lead of the plastics, ultimately, ending with Regina wearing sweatpants on the incorrect day and not being allowed to sit with us at the cafeteria table. I like they give her like the face cream, except this time it's like lard instead, which seems like you might notice that. I think it was like foot cream in the first movie, which seems a little bit more like you might use that instead of that. But yeah, Regina has finally been trounced, broken up with. Friends have been turned against her. I like it. Kept like the candy cane, like the fake like candy cane send is how that got there.
Right.
They didn't really like focus on that. It just kind of happened. So I feel like if you hadn't watched the original movie, that probably is like totally lost on you. Like, what are you even talking about with these candy canes? Just kind of was like slipped in there, and that's we'll talk about that here in a minute. But yeah, all is well that ends well. Not really, because now Cady is like the leader of the plastics. She's the most popular girl in school. She is totally the one that Regina George was, right? So now Cady Heron is a massive deal. So what do you do, right? Now that the problem has been solved, Janice and Damien are like, oh, okay, you did that. Congratulations. Now you can come back and be our friends again. We got our revenge on Regina George. So come to my art show, Janice says, that'll be cool. And Katie's like, I got to go out of town with my mom to this thing. And, now you can definitely see that this friendship has been fractured, right? Cady has bought in to her own hype a little bit too much here. And Janice and Damien are a little weary of that. And when Cady, spurns that art show to throw a massive rager at her own house and doesn't even tell Janice about, that's when things are going to go amok for Cady, and she's going to face a reckoning, to be sure.
Right. And Katie doesn't even see it as that. She just sees it as a excuse to see Aaron, because once again, she is thinking about, you know, getting with this boy, and that is making her, I don't know, justify a bunch of bad behavior. At least that's how I saw it in this one, because she's sort of torn. She does have these two friend groups, and while she and I think this is very common for people in high school. You feel like you fit easily into these groups. You don't love, they're not, neither one of them like fits you completely, but you feel like you can't give either one up. Right. And so Cady was like, well, I'm not going to invite Regina to my big party because she's persona non grata now. But I am going to invite Aaron, and Aaron shows up. I love the fact that he is the same sweet guy who looks at a picture of her, like either with a cheetah or running on an elephant, and is like, this is really cute. Oh, this is you. That's so nice. And that's really heartwarming. To see that Aaron seems genuinely interested in who Cady is until she shows him who she is. And he's like, wait, you're just like Regina. You're like a clone of her. And that's when the light comes on in all of the viewers' minds, or at least it did with me, that was like, oh, this is the moment where she's become the thing that she hated and was trying to avoid ever being, is she became the mean girl. And of course, Regina shows up. She's really mad. She's like, I can't believe you. They get into this big fight. She's running out after Aaron, trying to get him to stay. He's like, I'm out. And of course, the same scene that happens in the first movie happens in this one, where Janice shows up with Damien. I do love this scooter. One. He's like, and she's like, look, I can't believe you did this. You're just like her. And then Cady delivers the final blow and says, you're obsessed with me. What is wrong with you? And you see Janice is so hurt, because that is the thing that Regina had said to everybody to kind of out Janice in middle school. And it's just really much, in my opinion, it's much more devastating when she throws her artwork at Cady and says, this won an award, you might as well take it, and just kind of walks away from the whole thing. It's really hard. You feel bad for Cady, because you know that she's done something that is really, really horrible, right? Like, not unforgivable, but it's certainly, in the moments of high school, it feels like your life is over, because now you've lost the boy that you like. You've lost your friends, one friend group, and you're kind of on the outs with the other as well.
Yeah, for sure. So she is definitely, burned both of these bridges, and she's definitely burned the bridge with Regina, and Regina now is going to quite literally burn it down. That's I think the name of the song is like World Burn there, when she goes and gets the burn book and decides she's going to basically frame Cady here in this burn book. They don't spend as much time kind of focusing on the burn book and like the contents of it as they do in the original movie. I didn't feel like, but basically, pastes herself kind of into the back of it, goes in and drops it, and then the whole school loses their collective minds. We didn't even talk about the rocking around the Christmas pole, which seems a little bit more adult than the original
Oh my
version.
gosh, did it?
Play like no one's watching, but everybody's watching because you're gorgeous.
For sure,
Wow.
but it was still pretty funny. Regina just falls flat on her face, and that's kind of the end of the plastics as we knew them there at the end of that. But the burn book section here is pretty good. It still kind of focuses on like the high school like literally tearing itself apart. You have the principal comes out, and he's like, I can't believe I have to deal with this today. What's he say? He's like, I can't believe I got a graduate degree for this, or something like that.
Right.
He pulls the fire alarm and tells all of the junior class girls to get into the auditorium so they can have a come to Jesus moments, I guess, with them, so to speak. So I love that. I love it keeps kind of the same Tim Meadows there in his humor, and he's like talking to these girls, and he's like, no, I can't do this, and turns the mic over to Miss Norbury to set these girls straight a little bit, at least. I don't think it did as good of a job here in the musical version, but it did get into one of the most like fun and epic like musical numbers, I thought, with Janice. But what do you think about this section here, the aftermath of the burn book?
Yeah, I thought the one thing that was compelling was she said, hey, have you ever called somebody a name? And everybody's like raising their hand. Well, have you ever been called that yourself? And all the same people, keep their hands up basically. And it's really interesting. because I don't know what it is about girls. Like, you know, we all want to support each other. Like, and I don't think anybody is like, oh, I'm a horrible, mean girl. Like, I don't think anybody feels that in about themselves. But if they examine that behavior where it's like, yeah, but I talk about this person behind their back, or but I don't like them and I'm gonna shame them for the way their body looks or what they choose to wear or the kind of relationships that they have in their lives. And I'm either gonna do that out of jealousy. I thought that was a missed moment because she kind of started to say that. And then we move right into Janice's like amazing performance where she's all over the school. I love this shot. It looks like it's all one take. It's probably not all one take. There's probably some cinematographic magic that's happening, but it looks like we are following her into every single room in that school.
In the
It was
school,
my
yeah.
favorite. It was my favorite part of the whole movie because she's basically given middle fingers to everybody. And you see a gym, you see the cafeteria, you see a bathroom, you see a hallway. I mean, you see this whole thing and you're following her as she's singing. She sounds like she's actually singing. If she's lip syncing, she's doing the best job I've ever seen. It's amazing. I love it so much. This part made the whole movie for me. I loved that scene.
Yeah, that musical number is pretty epic there. I think it's called like I'd Rather Be Me, that Janice is singing. And yeah, that goes through like the whole school. She goes into like the band room, she goes into like the theater room. So it's like she's like going into all of the different like cliques of the school. And it ends outside. And you see Cady and Regina standing there, and then Regina gets hit with the bus. Regina died. Okay, no one died. No one died. But she did die for like 15 seconds. And Regina is going to live. It tears the school in half. I really like it. Goes into like the social media like explosion. I think like Megan Thee Stallion's even like on there. She's like, why is this on my page? Which is pretty funny. And
Right.
you know, half the school thinks that Cady pushed Regina in front of the bus, and you know, half the school is on Cady's side still. But things are bad. Things are not good, right? Miss Norbury has been arrested for pushing drugs. That's bad. The school is in complete turmoil and fallout. No one has admitted to writing this burn book yet, but things are not all sunshine and roses for Cady, right? Half the school hates her. She's had to tell her mom that she's failing math now. That's not great, not great. And she finally decides to do the right thing, right? She admits to Mr. Duvall, the principal there, that you know, she lied. She made that up about Miss Norbury. So that's good. She's finally kind of coming clean. She's finally seen the error of her ways, right? How destructive, you know, kind of living this life of exuberance is going to be, right? Being the popular girl maybe is not all is cracked up to be, and she's going to start to make things right with a first stint to get those that grade back up in math class. You gotta join the mathletes and go to a math contest hosted by none other than Lindsay Lohan. Hey, Lindsay
Yeah.
Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan. I mean, it's so funny because we were in the theater watching this, Brian, and I turned my head and I'm about to say the words, all that's missing is a cameo from Lindsay Lohan. They're about to come out of my mouth. And she immediately pops up on the screen and she's like, well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the mathematics competition. We've got the mathletes versus the math nerds, or whatever the other group is called. And we see this beautiful montage of answers to questions that no one knows. Like if you multiply a number by the circumference of the sun, divide it by 87, multiply by negative I, what happens? Like it's amazing. But I was happy to say that they had the limit question again, which made me really happy, because limits are the foundation of calculus and mathematics. So and Cady gets it, but I really love the moment that they have with the two girls going head to head, because she says things like, it doesn't matter how much time I spend like insulting you, you could still beat me.
Mhm.
And I loved that because she's not wrong, right? We spend a lot of energy as people, and me, myself, like you know me and my paradigm. I love movies that change my paradigm. I feel like I spend a lot of time looking and comparing myself to other people. We spend a lot of time insulting people in our heads or comparing ourselves, and none of that really matters. Like this, at the end of the day, you either know the math, the question, you either can do life or you can't. Like that's the point of this whole thing.
Yeah, and it's at that point, right? She takes the lesson that Miss Norbury teaches her, earlier in the film, during kind of that is all girls assembly there, where they're, doing their trust fall and stuff like that. And Miss Norbury says, if you call someone stupid, that doesn't make you any smarter, or if you say that someone's uglier, that doesn't make you any prettier, right? You are who you are, and then that bridges then great into that song that Janice sings there. But yeah, so she wins the math championship for it's like the state math championship. You just show up last minute and win the state. So good job, Cady. There, and they go back. It's like the spring like formal. I really like up on stage there. Mr. Duvall is like I'm gonna do this, and then I'm leaving. I'm retiring like immediately after this dance is over.
It's so much, yeah.
Versus I think in the original film he's like, and I really just cannot wait for the school year to be over, which is really good. We're really good. But yeah, he gives out the awards, right? Some guy wins the king. I don't remember his Shane, I think it wins, right? So the other guy that Regina had been hooking up with wins king, and then Cady wins queen. She goes up and gives her little spiel about how everyone why do we have to only have one winner of this thing? Everyone can win, and she does the same. Kind of breaks up the tiara there and passes around the pieces, which is really nice. And then all's well that ends well, right? Cady ends up going off to Aaron after she goes up and says she's sorry to Janice, and takes it, and Janice is like, well, are you still like a jerk face, Cady? And she's like, I don't think so. She's like, all right, well, that's good. And then kind of points out Aaron, and they go off on their own. Janice is there. Damien is with the guy from what was it, from the drama club, I think, or something. I don't know, one of those guys. And then it talks about how all the different cliques are like commingling here at this dance, which is pretty cool, which is a pretty fun end. And then it kind of cuts out there with Janice and Damien, who are serving as narrator. I think it even like says narrator like under them, like on one of their little TV things, which is pretty funny, I thought. And then I really liked kind of the set design of this. They're at the dance, and it like closes the garage door from like the opening scene of the movie.
Yep.
Where they'd started out. I thought that looked really cool, and it was kind of a neat way to kind of put a pin in this one.
Yeah. No, I definitely liked the way that they presented this as kind of a story. And it was I don't know if that was an homage to the musical. It might have been. It felt very much like a mix between like the ending of Grease and an ending of Rent. Because of the garage door. I just really liked the way that they did it, where you kind of come full circle, like you felt like you did in Grease, where it's like, we're actually all going to be friends, or we're all going to learn to live together. It's going to be okay. It gets better. It's much more hopeful. And with the garage door being just really kind of, I don't know, urban and like, I love that. And the fact that then you're still watching it on a phone. I really like that piece.
Yeah.
Because they had to update a lot of things that, and I think that they did that really well. They updated the way people spoke. They were able to really craftily talk about some of the stuff that's harder, I think, to discuss. They changed some of the character dynamics to make it make sense with reality and also be more inclusive. And I really liked that. It was a great ending. The ending, I think, was almost as good as the first one, maybe.
Yeah, the ending was pretty good, and a lot of the film beats are similar, but it's a little bit different. Let's talk about that a little bit before we sign off of this one, Michaela. Just kind of looking back at the original. If you want to hear us talk a little bit deeper about the original Mean Girls, you can do that on our Patreon. We're covering that this week. It's patreon.com/drinkthemovies. Go there to support the podcast and get bonus material and stuff like that. But kind of the big takeaway for me, and I'm seeing a lot of really like negative like reviews on this movie, and I don't think that's fair at all. Like this, I thought was perfectly fine. It wasn't like earth shattering by any means. It's probably not as good as the original movie, but I thought it was still pretty good. I thought it was fun. I liked the musical numbers. I liked the choreography. I liked kind of the aesthetic of the movie. It felt very much like a modernized, version of that first film there. So I liked it quite a bit from that standpoint. I kind of alluded to it at the top. It's really hard because Mean Girls is such like this quippy, like jokey movie, and you still have to like fit those things in, right? You still have to fit in, you can't sit with us and stuff like that, but you're trying to tell the story through these musical numbers, And I don't know that it did like that great of a job of that. Like usually in a musical, like the musical number is meant to kind of propel the story along. And there were some instances where it did that, but I didn't feel like that necessarily was always the case here.
Yeah,
And not that the songs were like filler in any sense, and probably if you have the full breadth of the musical, it makes more sense that way. But it was kind of like a weird like mishmash of like an actual just movie like retelling of Mean Girls and also this musical that got
right.
kind of stuck together. So it got a little bit muddled there. So I think it relied a lot on the fact that you knew those jokes and where they were coming in from seeing the original one. So I don't know how that plays for people that have never seen the original, if that still works
Yeah.
okay or if it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think some of the songs were there because they needed some music. I mean, when you overlay I think that's a problem when you create a musical from a story that already exists. It's very different than if you see a organic musical like West Side Story. That is it's an age old, it's kind of an age old story of star-crossed lovers, but I feel like that was written with the music in mind. This, I mean, like they make a song where the entire song is about how you have to look sexy on Halloween. I
Mhm.
don't know how much that really perpetuated the plot, as you're saying, right? Like, um, by the way, the angel costume, amazing. She's not an
Mm,
angel.
mm.
She looks awesome. It's so much better than the Playboy Bunny, in my opinion. Far and away, way better. But I don't know. I liked the musical part, some of the stuff, but I think most of it was kind of filler for me. I really don't know how much it helped with the plot lines.
Mhm.
As you're saying, I mean, I absolutely love the I'd rather be me from Janice. I really love the beginning where we talk about a cautionary tale. And then at the end, I see stars. I really loved those. Most
Mhm.
of the stuff that was in between, I was like, nah, this is okay. I mean, it sounds great, but I didn't know how much it actually kind of moved the plot along. And that's why this is a good 20 minutes longer than the original, I think, because they had to figure out a way to keep these songs in or add them in. And I don't know if that was really necessary, but it defeats the purpose of it being a musical. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, for sure. I
yeah.
and I like the songs. I thought that they were all, well done. In particular, a couple of the ones that you mentioned. I also really like the Meet the Plastics because that moment when she comes in feels like very very musical feeling, like
Hmm.
even in the original movie, right? That feels like something that would be, ripped from a musical. So that makes sense. But this was fun. I'm kind of newer to seeing Mean Girls. I've just watched it, recently for the podcast, so we could talk about it over on the Patreon. So it was pretty fresh in my mind. So um I liked it. I had a lot of fun. I thought that this was fun. I thought that it had its funny moments. I liked the way that it was modernized, kind of in the way that it told its story, through social media, which sometimes is awkward, in things and the way they're doing it. But this one, it felt very natural, especially, within the setting and the confines of this high school where presumably, it's been a long time since we've been in high school, Michaela, but presumably that is how information is traveling between people, within high schools. So, yeah, I thought that it was pretty good and definitely worth watching, if you're a fan of the original or if you've never seen the original, go watch that and then watch this, and you can kind of compare the two. But you know what is not questionable, Michaela? That is how good the Secret Rose cocktail was. That was a good one, and I still feel like it pairs really well with Mean Girls.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I think this really was a really nice refresh, revamp, dusting off, whatever you want to call it, of a story that a lot resonates a lot with young women, especially. And I think in that sense, it does a really good job of doing that in a modern day kind of uh, in a modern day frame, right? Because
Hmm.
if I had a teenage kid or a teenage friend that I was like, hey, Mean Girls is amazing, I think they might think I was really old.
They'd be like, why
Because
are why are we watching this old black and white film?
right. I mean, but this makes it cool again. And
Yeah.
it's the same really good message, which is, hey, don't put people down. It's not going to do anything to you, right? Other than make you a mean girl. And the idea of you trying so hard to out the mean girls and take them down turns you into a mean girl. I really love that story, that storyline and that idea, especially with impressionable minds. Young, I mean, and coming on the back end of Barbie, right? The Barbie
Sure.
phenomenon
Yeah.
that happened 6 months ago. I think this further perpetuates this idea that, hey, we don't have to, it's not that big of a competition. And you know, we don't have to take each other down to build ourselves up. That's just not how it works. And that's really an age old story, right? Where you don't have to do that. And I like that. Tina Fey, I think, did a really good job of making this a very pleasant watch. Is it the best film of all time? No. What was the original? No. So I don't understand the hate. I mean, certainly, I think there's nostalgia around the old one, which is why most people probably liked it, but better. But I think this was a perfectly respectable take on it.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently this was originally slated to just be like a Paramount Plus like streaming film, but then it tested
Oh,
really well,
nice.
so they ended up putting it in the theaters. So that's good. I love seeing Tim Meadows back. I think Tim Meadows is hilarious. I really like him, and I really like his sense of humor. Pretty good stuff there. And I have to say, other than the group of old people, you and me and your husband last night, your son not included in the being old bit. It was a lot of it seemed like a lot of friend groups of like high school age girls that were there, and they all seemed to be having a good time with the film, which is good. So it seems like it's doing what it set out to do for sure. So that is Mean Girls 2024. There, make up one of those cocktails, the Secret Rose, and let us know what you think about that, and let us know what you think about Mean Girls the musical. Let us know what you think about Mean Girls the original. Let us know if you ever read the book that's based on. Let us know all that stuff on our social medias. That's at Drink the Movies on Instagram and X and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook.com/drinkthemovies. You can go to our website, www.drinkthemovies.com. That's where you can get pictures of our cocktail. You can see pictures of Michaela and I in the burn book. I think I posted that to social media, so you can go check that out. Check that out, drinkthemovies.com, recipes, all that stuff. Go there, go to patreon.com if you want. Patreon.com/drinkthemovies if you want to support the podcast there, get bonus content, all that sort of stuff. We definitely appreciate our patrons over there who let us do fun things like talk about Mean Girls cocktails, because that's what we're going to be doing over there this week. So, Michaela, they've done all that stuff. They've checked us out. They've sent us messages on social media, all the things. What else do they need to do?
You all need to subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already. If you love us that much, you should subscribe. And you can leave us a 5-star review on any of your rectangles. So whatever you're listening to right now, if you're not driving, because don't do this if you're driving, that's unsafe. There's a subscribe button. There is a rate button. There is a review button. Leave us a review if you're liking what you're hearing, because it really helps us get more of the Drink the Movies out there.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much for joining us this week to talk about Mean Girls. It was quite the fun time going back to high school and, figuring out where we could sit at lunchtime. So, I don't know, Michaela, let's go mix up a Secret Rose. We have to get ready to go talk about the original Mean Girls now. Maybe see if Mean Girls Broadway is going to be coming to town. Check that out and listen to the soundtrack because it was pretty good. So, let's do that, and we'll talk to everyone next time on
Drink
the
the Movies.
In the end, fetch happened. That's how you use it.
In the end, fetch happened. That's how you use it. That's right. She's like, it did. It did happen.